We're here live today with Amy Gorin, and we're going to have a conversation about what we can do as dietitians and nutrition professionals to work less and make more money. So, nutrition professionals to work less and make more money. So, that sounds really intriguing. I'm going to go ahead and have you introduce yourself, Amy, and
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. So, I'm Amy Gorin. I'm a plant-based media dietitian, and I run Master the Media, which is a media training and certification program for dietitians and health professionals. So, in a nutshell, I help health professionals make more money and work less and reach more people with their health messages.
And that sounds amazing. And as dietitians, I feel like we're often struggling against all the misinformation out there. So having someone who's like cracked the code, so to say, as to how we can get our voices out there to be able to really fight all this misinformation is just amazing. I'd love to hear how you got to this point.
Yeah, so I'm actually a second career dietitian. So my first career, I was a magazine editor living in New York City. I was earning $14 an hour and sometimes working 70 hours a week. And I just thought there has to be something better than this. So I started thinking about going back to school to become a dietitian. And fast forward, I did. And I just thought, okay, I'll become a dietitian. Everything will be like roses and rainbows, and I'll get everything I ever wanted, like money wise and time wise and happiness. And it was really hard to find a dietitian job. The only job I could find was working at a long term care center, and I it was $40 an hour, which is about what I had earned, like built my way up to as an editor. And I hated the job. So I was like, okay, I did all of this. Spent so many years in school, so many student loans, and I'm back to like making about the same amount of money. I'm not happy, and there just has to be something better. And so then I started thinking, okay, I have all of this media experience, I have this nutrition expertise, and there must be a way to combine that. And so I kind of just started like reaching out to brands, started writing for Food Network and Everyday Health and other media, and like started working with my favorite brands like Amy's Kitchen. And that very first year as a media dietitian, I made $147,000.
Oh, wow.
And that was more money than I'd ever made in my entire life. And then the second year, I made $262,000 just from the media and brand work. And so every year thereafter, it's been over $200,000. And anyway, I just really started, people started coming to me with questions asking like, how can I do this too? And that's really how Master the Media was born, to, help, like, so I could help other health professionals get the same money and time freedom a lot faster than I was able to, to do.
That's amazing. Especially how you're able to combine those two passions of yours into something that was, paying the bills and more, right?
For
Um,
sure.
that's amazing. I know that when I used to work at a clinic, our PR department was really good. I don't know what they did, but I feel like every other week or so I'd be getting an email saying, "Hey, do you want to, give us a quote for this magazine article, or do you want to like write this or answer a question for our
That's
nutrition?"
awesome.
And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Um, and I never really asked them like, "Hey, how do you do this?" Because now that I'm on my own, I think, how awesome would it be if I were to, get my name out there so people know what it is that I do, but also how I can help others, nutrition wise or nutrition counseling wise. And I haven't the slightest clue where to start. I'm sure I'm not alone. So I'm wondering if you have like maybe baby steps for those of us who are really lost.
Yeah,
Well, what?
for sure. So I'm going to kind of start with the why you want to do this. So there's kind of two big steps. One is getting featured in the media. And so that could be, being on local TV or being quoted in US News about, what healthy frozen foods to eat. And once you have a few of those under your belt. You can say, hi, I'm Amy. I'm a plant-based dietitian. I've been featured in US News and Livestrong and Eating Well and Eat This Not That. That makes you really attractive to brands who want to work with you, and they want to utilize the reach that you have to the media. And that's when you can start pitching the brands and saying, hey, I have this really great idea. Do you want to partner together? And those are the opportunities that earn thousands of dollars. So I'm going to say the probably the easiest way to kind of jump into all of this is the webinar that I'm hosting tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. So Joyce has her affiliate link for that. And we're going to go over, literally, it's going to be a 1-hour crash course on how to get featured in the media, how to get featured, how to start working with brand partnerships. And when I say like brand partnerships, I'm talking sometimes $50,000 partnerships for like 20 hours of work. And so that's the really cool thing, is you're not trading your time for money. You're getting paid a lot of money for a little bit of time because you have the credentials that you have the expertise that you have.
That's amazing. And as dietitians, we have the expertise, we have the credentials. We need to be doing this type of work. So I know for sure I'll be there because I want to learn more about it.
To see there.
I am curious though, now that you mentioned, a brand partnership could range from, maybe hundreds to thousands to like a lot. I'm curious, the one that you mentioned, like 50,000 for a couple of hours a week. What does that look like from the point of view?
Yeah, that could look many different ways. And that's the cool thing, is like, there's no, a brand partnership is always going to look like X, because we're all different and we all enjoy doing different things. So I'll give you some examples. It could be you're working at like a media event for a brand and kind of doing like a culinary demo for them. So it could be that combined with some TV interviews that you're doing that are sponsored for the brand. That literally, I know that sounds like this much work. That could be, anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000, depending on a whole bunch of, like how many interviews you're doing and things like that. One of my favorite things that you can do is getting quoted in a press release for a brand, because it takes you like a few minutes to write a quote, and they're going to pay you thousands of dollars for being featured in that press release, because it goes out to millions of people. So a lot of times a brand partnership will be like this thing, so like this press release plus this TV interview, which might be like $5,000 plus maybe you're creating some recipes for them and taking pictures of the recipes, and then you kind of just keep on adding this and this and this, and then you get, okay, I'm working with this brand over the next 6 months, I'm getting paid $50,000. And these are the opportunities that I'm literally connecting my students with in Master the Media like every day. It's really cool to see how quickly their lives can change. Like, we have a student who, she wanted to move to Europe, and she's literally doubled her income over the last, not even a full year of working with us. And so now she's moving to Europe because she can. And like, it literally just changes your life.
It does sound life-changing. That's amazing. So I am curious. I've seen a couple of messages I've gotten here and there that, hey, you can be featured in this magazine or in that magazine, and then there's like, oh, but you gotta pay.
No,
so
if there's a talk of, so if there's any money that you're having to pay, like 99.99% chance that it's some kind of like scam. Or like, there are some media outlets that you do have to pay to be featured. And I just think, like, don't do it, because those are expensive. And the way that they're presented, like they're presented in the publication as an advertorial, if it's done legitimately, and you don't, like, you'll get so much more of a better reach and response if you organically get the media placement. And it's not, I know it sounds like almost impossible if you were like, how do I do this? But it's really, like, I'm going to share the steps tomorrow night, and they're really, really straightforward and simple to follow.
Nice. So I do want to learn more as I'm, growing my business as well. And I'm curious, I'm sure there are others similar to me that maybe have gotten quoted here and there in different articles or magazine articles. How do we go about saying like that we have that? Do we put it on our resume, or do we put it on our website, or what's allowed?
Yeah, so really think of the homepage of your website and like your Instagram profile, for instance. Like think of those as kind of like your super quick explainer of who you are and what you do. And you want people to come to that, like to say your website, for instance, and see like Joyce, oh, she was featured in the New York Times and US News and Everyday Health. And you want to have that be like literally front and center. So if you, a lot of times, like any website that you go to, like for a brand, a lot of times they'll say like as seen in, featured in, and they'll have like a few different media outlets. And that's kind of like that quick signifier, because think about if someone's wanting to interview a dietitian for an article, like let's just say it's a writer for Well and Good, and they go to your Joyce's website and they're like, oh, okay, so she was featured in media, she knows how to talk to media, I'm going to reach out to her. And it's that like one quick second stamp of approval. Same thing with your Instagram bio. Like I have on mine, as seen in HuffPost, New York Times. And again, it just gives that really quick, like you only have those like 3 or 4 lines, and you're using one of those lines to explain that, like, yes, I'm a media personality. You should come to me for any interviews that you need. And that also signifies to brands like, hey, Amy and Joyce, like they know how to talk to the media. They know how to communicate in a way that people want to listen. And so, we're a brand. We have a lot of budget to pay these experts. And so we're going to reach out to these dietitians.
That's great. So, and could we actually have like a link to the interviews that we've done, or
Oh,
things?
absolutely. And I recommend like putting them on your, like I have a whole media section on my website and I share every single interview I do. I recommend doing that because you're like, if anyone comes to your website and wants to do a deep dive on you and say like, oh, like she's literally been featured in like dozens or hundreds of interviews, it gives you that like instant authority, not only for the media and for brands, but also if a patient wants to come to you. Like we had one student who she got onto 2 major podcasts within her niche, which was endurance running, endurance sports nutrition. And so she got 20 new clients from those 2 interviews, which equaled almost $50,000 in additional revenue over the course of 4 months. So it can not only bring you extra revenue from brand partnerships and things like that, but also from new clients coming into your door.
Yeah, that's incredible. The more we get exposure, the better our outcome is going to be when it comes to growing a business.
Absolutely.
Sure. Now, I'm curious from an ethical perspective, when we do have these brand partnerships, where do we like make that visible so that we just
Yeah,
are
I'm
transparent?
I'm really glad you brought this up because ethics and disclosure are so important when it comes to working with media and brands. And there's a few different things here. I'll kind of just give like the quick overview. But for one, you want to be 100% all in to any brand that you represent. So like a lot of times it's really tempting to people to say like yes to every partnership that comes their way. I've said no to more partnerships than I've said yes to, because sometimes I'm like, I don't really think that these ingredients are ones that I want to recommend. Or maybe the company wants me to say something that I don't think is scientifically sound. And so I'm not comfortable doing that. So that's step one, is just kind of doing that gut check. Then the next thing from there is once you have that partnership with a product. So let's just say, for example, Campbell's soup. You're doing an interview on the best store-bought soups. You want to disclose to the reporter that you're in a paid partnership with that brand. Same thing if you share on social media. You want to use the branded partnership tool on Facebook and Instagram. You want to use the hashtags like ad and sponsored. And then you also want to just say in clear partnership language, both in the caption and in the video, if there's a video, that like, hey guys, I'm Amy, I'm here today. I'm partnering with X brand and we're going to talk about, soup today. And then it's just very clear and there's no question about, about if you're partnering with the brand or not. And that's just going to, for one, you're doing things by the book legally, but it's also going to make people trust you more because you're being transparent.
Absolutely. And to what point do we need to disclose that? Only if it's relevant to the brand we're working with or to the nutrition?
So if you're doing anything, if you're sharing about a product that you're getting paid to represent, or even if you got free samples of it and you're talking about that product, you have to disclose that. So like a lot of times, like say you're creating a recipe reel on Instagram and you had free samples, because dietitians, we get free samples. It's a cool perk of the job. And you're making a recipe with this really cool like bean flour that you just got. You'd want to disclose that, I'm making this recipe. I got these free samples from this brand. Thanks, brand. And then it's just very clear.
Yeah, that sounds good. I need to hop on these freebies. I haven't gotten any. Okay, so that's really exciting to know. I think the next thing I'm going to do is sign up for your masterclass and then figure out how to add those things to my website so that I can showcase the fact that I've had a couple of quotes here and there in different magazines.
Yeah, and then start monetizing those. I mean, you already have part one.
So then what can we expect from tomorrow's masterclass?
Yeah, so it's going to be an hour. We're going to like really come prepared with like, paper to take notes. We're going to cover a lot in an hour about all the ins and outs of working with media, working with brands, how that can earn you, how that can multiply your income and also, help you earn some of your time back. So think about working less and making more, right? That sounds great. And then we're also going to have some fun prizes. We're giving away $1,000 in prizes for people attending live, and we're going to have some live bonuses for live attendees as well. And then we'll also do a live Q&A. So it's going to be a lot packed into an hour.
Okay, that sounds awesome. And what time is it going to happen?
It's 8 p.m. Eastern time, and I know you have the link, Joyce, that you're going to share with your group. So everyone use Joyce's link. I'm sure she'll offer you some fun bonuses or something for using it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just going to say that we have so much to learn about working with the media. I'm so happy you're doing what you're doing for this profession. And I hope that people take advantage of this, even if it's just, the free masterclass and learn what you can, and then eventually start building that portfolio so that we can show our expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say if you're even mildly curious, like come tomorrow night, learn more, just get started on getting this whole other revenue stream together, because it's not as hard as people think, and it doesn't take as much time as people think.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Amy.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to send the replay. It's always a pleasure to see you and to chat with you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.